Welcome to Wasting Time Podcast. I'm Chris. I'm chatting to Nick. What's up, Nick?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, what's happening?
It's been quite an eventful week. Our friends in Lovebreakers, they've had a busy week this week, and I had the pleasure of going to watch them play at the Garage 2 nights ago, opening for Billie Joe Armstrong's side project, the Coverups. So that was a fun night. I thought maybe tell you a little bit about that before we get into today's show.
Yeah, it looked like a sold out show from what I could see online.
Mate, hottest ticket in town, honestly. Yeah, it was. I think.
So tell us a bit. I guess tell us a little bit about what the Coverups are all about, then, like what you know of them, and
Yeah, for sure.
like,
And this is with all my work with Lovebreakers, to be honest, because like I don't think I've made a secret of the fact on the show that I'm not the biggest Green Day fan. I've got nothing against Green Day, but they just never really clicked with me. But Lovebreakers are huge fans of huge Green Day fans, and have kind of like garnered a relationship with them, really. And Chris Dugan, who is the drummer in the Coverups and a very close friend of Billie Joe Armstrong, ended up mixing the Lovebreakers album, which is at the time of recording out tomorrow. And he's been a big kind of champion of the band for a long time. So I guess it's through him and Billie Joe Armstrong liking them as well that they got on these two Cover-Up shows that have been happening in London this week. And yeah, it's just kind of, I guess, the setup of the Cover-Ups. It's just a bit of fun for Billie Joe Armstrong just to come out and play a bunch of covers of songs that he loves. And like, he came out on stage and just said, yeah, this is just kind of like what we do at home. This is a karaoke vibe. We're just getting together and we're playing some songs. And that's kind of what it is. But obviously, Billie Joe Armstrong being such a huge star and playing very small venues for him, these shows sold out like as soon as they were announced. And they were only announced a few days before they actually happened. So yeah, went along on Tuesday night to the first one, hoping to go to the second one tomorrow as well. And it was great. Lovebreakers played to a full room, absolutely smashed it. And then, then the Cover-Ups were fun. Had Courtney Love come out as a surprise guest, which was that was something. Seeing Courtney Love at the Highbury Garage, it was fun spotting people in the audience as well. Noticed Frank Skinner there with his little boy. Glenn Matlock was there as well. So yeah, it was a cool night.
yeah, star-studded by the sounds of it. How did you know about the Courtney Love thing? Was just Love Breaker Boys told you that she was hanging about?
Yeah, so when I got to the venue, because obviously they'd been there soundtracking, spending time with Billie Joe Armstrong, etc. And I think when he was chatting to Christian and Jack from the Lovebreakers on the stage, he was like, "Yeah, we got a special guest coming tonight." And then immediately after that, Courtney Love turned up and sound checked with them. So yeah, they shared that information when I got there, and we weren't kind of allowed to tell other people who'd arrived. It was obviously it had to be a surprise, but I did know it was coming.
How did she sound these days?
Not amazing. It was fun. It was fun to see though.
And the Cover-Ups? I did see a video of them doing cover of The Strokes.
Yes, they played last night.
Which was, a bit different. What
Yeah.
was the kind of range of covers?
So we had lots of things like The Clash, Generation X, and Buzzcocks, lots of punk like that. And then we've got loads of Tom Petty.
Fair enough. Good night all around then.
Yeah, really fun. And as I say, hoping to go again tomorrow. So if I do, I'll let you know how that is. That's at the 100 Club. So that the 100 Club being where you and I saw, we saw Goldfinger all those years ago. So that would be crazy.
Do you not think that'll be more of an exclusive venue as well for more star-studded audience members?
Potentially, yeah. So, like I say, if I go, I will definitely report back on that.
Fair enough. Good stuff.
Yeah, and congratulations to our mates in Lovebreakers, because it's those are huge shows for them.
What else has been going on? I've been a bit been lying a little bit low over the last couple of weeks with work and baby stuff, but anything new on your radar?
I assume you had the chance to hear the new songs by Sum 41 and Wonder Years.
Yes. What's your thoughts on that Sum 41 though?
I like it. So it's clearly on the Heaven side of their double album.
Yeah.
It's it's a really cool song. I feel like the chorus sounds a bit like a chorus that they've done before. Sounds a bit recycled. But having said that, I still like it. But I'm hoping there's going to be stronger songs than that on that album. Like I preferred the other single that they released from that side of the album, Landmines, I think was stronger. What did you think?
Yeah, similar vibe really. Decent enough song. Definitely on that side of the fence rather than the heavier side.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. Not one that's probably gonna hold up in a playlist for too long. But Wonder Year song is a lot heavier than a lot of their recent stuff. I don't know if that's a planned change in direction, but it's almost going almost down a little bit of a hardcore kind of route a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for me. On that basis, I guess, really.
No, same. It's not what I want from a Wonder Years song personally. Be interesting to see if the forthcoming new material is of that ilk as well.
Yeah, you kind of expect it to be, don't you? When there's been quite a significant shift. It's not like you're gonna have one song that's just like this kind of crunching kind of double
exactly.
time kind of hardcore style. So it'll be interesting to see if they are going in a new direction.
Absolutely. And then I suppose another new release that will be out on the 1st of March is, as mentioned before, that Lovebreakers album, which I spent some time with them when it was being tracked, and I was involved in a lot of the emails with Chris Dugan, who mixed it and stuff. So yeah, I definitely have to give it some love, given that we're recording an episode when it's about to be released. I'm pretty sure I've sent it to you as well, so you'll be familiar with it as well. But it's a lot of love's gone into it, and I hope it does as well as it deserves to do. Title track Wonder, which is one of my favorite ones, came out a couple of weeks ago.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good track.
Definitely. So look out for that. Also want to give a shout out. There's a new band that I'm working with from Essex who are called Sharp Eyes. Incredible songwriters. It's in the pop punk world. Sam, the singer, sings in his own accent, which regular listeners to the show will know. I have a bugbear about that with English bands when they don't do that, whereas this guy very much does it, and I think he absolutely nails it. They have a new song called Past Your Best, which I'm going to play a snippet of now.
Just wanna get out there, play my songs to the bars full of people hate. This one's about me taking my life. Oh, that's funny, 'cause right now I've never felt more alive. If you can't see me, I'll be the one having the time of my life. Well, I know what you like, better off, better right. Wanna see what you say about this. It's so cold and your spine washes off in the light. Oh, well, you won't make it over mine. 'Cause I just got so much left to do, and you don't have to see it from my point of view. Because, I just don't care, it's before me to...
Yeah, so that was Past Your Best, which is out on March the 6th. So keep eyes on this band, because I think they're great, and I think there's lots of good things ahead for them. I've heard the next single after this one, and it blew me away.
Cool, exciting stuff.
Absolutely. All right, shall we get into today's episode?
Let's do it.
Cool. Do you want to set this up, or do you want me to?
I can do, yeah. So we chatted to Cassadee Pope, who some of you might remember from the days of Hey Monday. She was the front woman of Hey Monday, who later went on into a country career, was on The Voice US, won The Voice US. So quite an interesting journey and story through the industry. And, she's in this place now where she's looking to move back into the pop punk world and kick things off again, kind of within our roots. So here it is.
Hey, friends.
How we doing?
How are you?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Let us just quickly introduce ourselves. So my name's Chris. I'm based just outside of Kingston, just sort of southwest of London. And I'll let my friend here introduce himself.
I'm Nick, and I'm based in the northeast of England, a place called Newcastle upon Tyne. So up in the cold northeast. So
Nice.
yeah, we know kind of you're Florida born and bred, but where do
Yeah.
you reside? Where are you residing at the moment? Still in Florida? or-
I'm in Nashville currently. I was in LA for probably 3 years and then came here and I just was like, oh, this feels like home. So I stayed.
Nice. So you've been in Nashville for a fair while now.
Yeah, I've been here. I think it was in January, it was 11 years. So I've seen a lot of changes. I've found my community, which is really nice. I mean, I feel like, that stuff changes over the years, but
Sure.
it's the rock community is growing so much here, and it's like there's this great movement happening here. So I love it.
Speaking of the rock community in Nashville, we've definitely spoken to our fair share of guests on this show that are from
Yeah.
I'm sure the community you're referring to,
Yeah, I saw you've talked to Taylor Acorn, who's a
Mhm.
pal, Charlotte Sands.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of who else you might have talked to. I saw them on a list, and I was like, oh yeah, those are my girls.
Yeah, we've done all right. We've done all right. I guess the way we usually do these things is kind of a bit of a chronological walk through career, basically. Your career is quite an interesting one. So I don't know if we just want to kind of just tell us a little bit about your upbringing in Florida, your early influences with music, kind of what your upbringing was like, and we'll start there and see where it goes, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. It was a very interesting place to grow up because there wasn't any sort of like dominant music scene that was everybody's favorite. It was just like all different genres. So I grew up hearing a lot of country music because my family loved country music, but then my parents specifically also really loved classic 80s rock. So I was hearing, Journey and Boston and all of that growing up a lot. And it was I was actually 4 years old when I started taking voice lessons. I was hooked. I loved it. And I think I took voice lessons for probably like 7 or 8 years. From there, my voice coach was really smart and got me on stage really young. So I was singing at little fairs and festivals and stuff in West Palm. And then fast forward to being like a teenager, I started getting more into rock music. I loved Avril's first record, and then I got really into Blink 182 and Yellow Card and all of that. So there was a little rock scene in West Palm. So I started going to shows. I started playing in bands that would just like need a singer for a show or two. Eventually, I did get, I went to a music conference in Atlanta where I met Richard Rains, who was the drive-through guy, drive-through records. And I guess without records, it's like, that could be anything. The drive-through guy. And I sang for him a cappella because I didn't have any demos at that point. And he signed me to a development deal, and I was 15. So that happened. I did that for about a year. We were not on the same page creatively. I'm a pop kid. I've always loved like catchy pop melodies with heavy riffs. And they were looking for more of like a Rilo Kiley, like indie thing that was so not me. I love that stuff, but it's not me. So we eventually, split ways. And then I actually went to the same conference 2 years later, and I had a demo this time. I had a band. We were called Blake, which is my middle name. And we handed the demo to an A&R from Columbia Records, this guy Jay Heron, who lives here in Nashville now. And he loved it. He got us to New York City to showcase for Columbia. We got signed. And then we changed the name to Hey Monday because we had a few member changes. And I know I'm like going through my whole career. So I know you said start from the beginning. I'm like, wait, I might have gotten a little out of hand there. But yeah, that's kind of where things led to the Hey Monday stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Just one little question that in that I just wanted to quickly pull you up on. So obviously you mentioned Richard Rains, and I assume like you were quite familiar with drive-through and you were excited about that at the time. Who were like some of your favorite through early bands in those days? Because we all had our favorites, right?
Yeah, I was really obsessed with Hello Goodbye at the time.
Okay.
I loved that band Halifax.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I'm
Halifax.
trying to think of who else was on Drive Thru. I mean, so many people were on Drive Thru, but it
Of
was just
course.
so long ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
who else was on? Do you guys have your favorites?
Finch.
Yeah.
Oh
Remember
yeah, Finch.
they were a great band. Phoenix TX, Newfound, Starting Line.
Oh, the
Oh,
starting line.
just
Oh,
Homegrown were a great band.
Midtown were a big one for me.
Midtown. Oh my God, I forgot they were on Drive Thru too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love all those
They were one of
bands.
the very early ones on Drive Through.
Oh man. Yeah, what a evolution for that guy.
Yeah.
Like going from that to Cobra Starship.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Um,
I assume you've crossed paths with like the likes of Gabe and Rob
yeah.
Hitt over the years.
Yeah, we toured together. One of the first Hey Monday tours Cobra Starship was on. It was us, All Time Low, Metro Station, Cobra Starship, and Fall Out Boy. So it was
Wow.
like stacked, crazy tour.
Mm.
And speaking of Fall Out Boy, obviously Pete Wentz was kind of one of your early cheerleaders, right? And he kind of really made things happen
Yeah.
for Hey Monday. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it was all by chance too. We were already being looked at by Columbia Records, and our demo just sort of started circulating through the Crush management office, which is
Oh yeah.
who
Yeah.
manages Fall Out Boy. And Pete was in the office, and he just like overheard one of the managers listening to our demo, and he was like, "What is that? I want to be involved." And so Decadence, his label, and
Yeah.
Columbia, they just did a joint venture for us, and he was more of like um the cheerleader, the mouthpiece, the person who just like was the word of mouth guy, and obviously took us on tour all over the world. So he was a pretty huge piece of why we, got our fan base and how people started finding out about us.
And just in terms of kind of just to track back a little bit in terms of Hey Monday becoming Hey Monday, was it the whole Blake thing that kind of just merged into Hey Monday, or was it like a completely different project, or like how did the
I
Hey
mean,
Monday ping come together?
yeah, so Blake was myself, Mike Gentile, who ended up staying in and being in Hey Monday, and then three other members. And it was sort of like this weird, there was just such a disconnect because at the time I had these managers who we don't need to talk about them. And I mean, I was like 13 when I met them, so
Right.
they sunk their
Okay.
teeth into me, and
Right.
um, and they just like brought in these three other members that I hadn't known before. It was just a very weird dynamic, and so we had like demos and we had songs, but it didn't quite feel like what I wanted to really do. So when it was time, it was actually kind of interesting. Columbia totally picked up on that, and when they wanted to sign, they actually only signed me. But when they wanted to sign me and like do the band, they were like, we
Yeah.
really just feel like there's like those three guys and you two, like it just doesn't make sense, and like the vibe didn't gel and whatever. So we kicked the other guys out. We put a band together with the two of us and like two friends we knew from West Palm Beach, and we were having a hard time finding a bass player. So we asked people at Crush Management, like, hey, do you know anybody? And they actually
Yeah.
had an intern at the time, who we nicknamed Jersey. And that's how the band came to be. And the songs that ended up being Hey Monday songs, we really mostly wrote them in New York when we started working on the album with Sam Hollander and Dave Katz. So everything we had for Blake, like we didn't use any of it because we went more of
Right.
like the pop route, like the pop punk route, which was not quite what Blake was doing.
And was the kind of the trajectory of Hey Monday, was that quite quick? Like, did you guys kind of did it feel like you blew up really quickly? I mean, from an outside perspective, when you came on the scene, it felt like it did to me a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was such a blur. It happened so fast that it didn't register like how much of an impact we were making. But I do remember, releasing the album and then like a week later being in places like Japan and Australia where they were singing every word, like these arenas. When we
Wow.
were opening for Fall Out Boy, we're just like singing every word. And it was so fast. And looking back, talking to my old day-to-day manager Rohan, he's actually like head of A&R at Warner here
Oh,
in
nice.
Nashville. So he's like in
Oh.
the country world now. And we were
Yeah.
talking about it, and it's just like that doesn't happen. Like we they found us and we got signed, and then we went on these crazy tours, and we got like to, I think it was like 38 on top 40 radio, which wasn't great, but it was like we
It's
didn't
a
have to
hit.
do a
It's a
radio
hit
tour.
still, though. You
In
know.
the pop punk world as
Yeah.
well, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and I think that that's just in the US. So I think overseas and Europe and everything, like we did a lot better as far as just like our following and radio and all of that. So yeah, it was fast. The band wasn't together very long. People kind of forget we were only together for about like 4 years,
Yeah.
which is wild. So it is cool to hear that we had some lasting impacts on people. But it is, people just don't remember how quick we were finished, you know.
You did pretty well in the UK as well, right? You did a few
Yeah.
sports over here. What was the first tour in the UK? Do you remember? That's got to dig deep for that.
There's a band that I loved, and they were called, oh my God, I can't remember. I was 18. Something Houses.
Oh, it wasn't
Kids in
Kids in
Glass
Glass Houses, was it?
Houses? Might be too old for it.
They're
That
from
might they
Wales.
they that would that was they were bigger. I think that
Okay.
the band we went out with was smaller, and we were
Oh, I
doing
see.
like really small clubs. Dang it, I wish I remembered. They were awesome. So that was probably the first one. And then we did another tour with We the Kings over there.
Yeah.
We did a headlining thing with Stereo Skyline.
Mhm.
And then we did the Fall Out Boy tour, which I think was the last one we did over there.
Who
okay.
do you remember who else was on that tour? Like with Fallout on that, who else was on the bill? With this Fallout Boy.
Was it over there? Was it All American Rejects?
Don't think so.
Because there was a few
I'm
different
sure I was at that gig.
iterations. Oh, I mean, was it the same lineup, like All Time Low, Metro Station, Cobra Starship?
Maybe. I'm struggling to remember just
Oh,
as you, as
oh,
much
I
as you
no,
are.
no, the UK was they just
No.
broke up. UK based.
Oh, you mean You Me at
Me
Six?
at 6. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
might have been that one.
I just loved their music. So I was excited to tour with
Yeah.
them.
They are doing Slam Dunk, though, aren't they, this year? So that's their final
I
goodbye,
know.
isn't it?
Final hurrah. Yeah, they're local boys to me. They live literally in the next town over, which is about a 20-minute walk, and they're
Oh,
still very much
cool.
known in
Well,
this
why haven't they
area.
been on the podcast yet, Chris?
That's true. We do need to reach out to them. Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Have you done Slam Dunk before? You have, haven't
Yes.
you?
Yeah, just once though, and I would love to go back. It was so fun. The year I played was the year that Dan from the audition jumped from the balcony to crowd surf and broke someone's arm.
Yeah, I vaguely
It's an
remember
eventful
that,
year.
yeah. I think, Nick, let's kind of move quite quickly through this because obviously Cassadee, your career, there's so much to cover, and I want to talk about like stuff that's going on now as well. So I feel like we could dwell on these early Hey Monday years for ages, but in the interest of moving on. So as you said, the band was comparatively short lived, particularly given what you did in that time. So like you kind of, I guess you realized that it was time to maybe like move in the solo direction. I was listening to you on another show the other day, and you were talking about how, I think, did you say you did a last tour? Was it in Brazil? And you'd already told that. Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, it was like I didn't want this to be an abrupt thing on the guys. And at that point, we had a few member changes, but Mike Gentile and Alex Lipshaw were the last two in the band that were in from the beginning. And I just wanted to give them a good heads up because I didn't want them to feel blindsided. So I told them that I was gonna walk away from Hey Monday and pursue a solo thing before our tour in Brazil with Never Shout Never. And I remember turning 21 on that tour. So in Brazil, I was in Sao Paulo when I turned 21, which was really fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah. But we weren't. It was a weird time for us. We had so many changes at the label, like our A&R got let go, and we had a new label president. We were going in a different direction stylistically. We weren't really doing the pop punk thing anymore, or at least we wanted to try and move away from it because we wanted to do more of like the organic, like, I don't know, Michelle Branch kind of stuff that I've always loved.
Yeah.
So so I left and went to LA.
Next chapter.
And then
How soon was the voice after moving to LA and becoming a solo artist? What's the timeline there?
I think it was a year that I was in LA. I made an EP, or that was toward the end. I didn't make my EP yet. When I first got there, I was just like, I had a few people that said they would help me if I just moved out there, and then they ghosted me. So that was terrible. But I thankfully lived with my close friend who's still like a sister to me, and now a big songwriter, Allie Tamposi. And she was just great to live with, and basically just gave me a lot of encouragement. And then eventually I started making an EP. And that's when The Voice scouted me and got in touch with my old manager, not the managers from when I was a kid, the one from Hey Monday. And they asked if I wanted to come do a scheduled audition. And at that point I had done an acoustic tour that was like a complete bomb. I mean, it was like 5 people would show up at certain cities. It was really, really tough. And then just being super broke. Like I just didn't have money, and I didn't know what else to do. And I actually was approached to do the season prior, but I said no because I was still in Hey Monday. And I just didn't ever want to do a show like that for some reason. And so I said yes out of desperation, and then it ended up being a great decision and great for my career. So,
and obviously doing the audition that's televised, I mean, in front of these megastars that are judging you. I mean, you've obviously had a lot of experience being on big stages already at that point, but was that like a whole different level? Like, were you still like super nervous, like as the average person would be?
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing like tour. It was nothing like playing live shows. It was so sterile. And I say that with like love, because I know they tried to make it like the crowd super hype and everything, but for like the blind audition, when the crowd isn't really supposed to, they don't cheer you on when you come on stage. You just like walk up and it's super quiet and very daunting, and you're singing to the backs of these celebrities' heads, and it's worse than when they turn around and you can like sing to their faces. And then also just like taking into account, you know, when you're at a live show and you're bouncing around and you're able to make mistakes, and it's fine and it's not a big deal because you're just the energy's there and people are crowd surfing and whatever. This is like any mistake you make, any little flub, anything where you're bouncing and it's like making your voice bounce, it works against you, even though you're putting on a really fun performance and you might be entertaining people. Like you just have to sing perfectly, or attempt to, and not mess up. And that was like the biggest adjustment for me, was not moving around too much to where it affected my voice. Cause I love a high energy show. So it was really hard. And then also like knowing that it's live television, or even when it was just pre-recorded, like it just being nervous about my outfit or how I looked, or that I'm like, am I going to mess up the lyrics? Am I going to fall? All of that was it was debilitating.
Did you have like an idea in your head in terms of like how you wanted to present yourself, or was it you say you were doing the solo stuff in advance and, you know, slugging it out in the small venues? What kind of stuff were you playing there, and were you almost trying to take the Cassadee that you were doing there into The Voice, or did you kind of decide or were you trying to do something different?
I kind of went in with an open mind, but I really wanted to do like a pop rock thing. Like I think because Hey Monday felt like at the time like a failure, and it felt like we didn't have the support toward the end there. I didn't want to do pop punk anymore. And so I was never just like a strictly pop singer either. So I thought that would be a good balance. And that is what I was doing as a solo artist. My EP was kind of a mess, to be honest, but it was like pop rock, and then there was some like electronic stuff. But yeah, that was the goal to go into the show. But all of my covers that I listed, there were country songs in there because they encouraged you to like take a song and make it your own. And there were some songs that I covered as a kid when I started singing on country music. So I covered those songs as a kid, like "Cry" by Faith Hill, which was The Voice finale song. I did that as a kid. And so I was like, well, I'll put those down because they're voicey and they show my range, but I can make them, the arrangement more rock.
Yeah.
So that was the goal.
I guess the landscape of The Voice in the obviously we have it over here, and I guess the landscape's very different from here to over there, especially when you add the country thing in. Artists generally have a lot of success in the country kind of world in that show, don't they?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's because like the demographic that watches that show in particular is pretty country leaning, but I don't know. I mean, in the US, I feel like country music is just so popular in general that it makes sense. But yeah, and it was like totally, huh?
I was going to say, who are the judges on that show?
Oh, it was Blake Shelton, who was my coach, Christina Aguilera, CeeLo Green, and Adam Levine.
Just some small guys then.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed like
Crazy.
I have seen the clips of you on it before, but rewatching that, like CeeLo Green, like playing it cool to the last minute when the others turned around straight away.
I know. He made me feel a little greedy because I was like, if just one person turns, I'll be happy.
Yeah, like,
and then when 3 turned, I was like, come on, CeeLo.
What's his problem, right?
Yeah. But I was like, why are you made it? Like, shush, don't worry about it. That was nice.
So, I mean, that must have been this. So obviously you went on to win the show, which is awesome. But like, so from Hey Monday, you obviously had some level of celebrity, at least in our world. But then I guess being on that show and winning it, like it must have, like the amount of people who recognized you in the street, I assume kind of would have went up tenfold. What was that experience like?
I mean, it was so crazy because we were sequestered during the show. So we're all in a hotel and we're not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then they, after I won, I just like got on a red eye to New York City and did all this press and like in the airport and going through to all these different talk shows and like Anderson Cooper and Kelly Ripa and all these and people knowing me and saying nice things. I was just like, what is happening? And the cool thing about The Voice is they tell everybody's stories so well and with so much care and empathy. It's not like some of those other ones where like they just thrive on the drama side of things.
Yeah.
They just tell the stories of the artists so beautifully that when people come up to you in public, it's like they talk to you like you're a normal person. It's not like they're hyperventilating and freaking out and like, I mean, every once in a while there might be someone who's crying or something, but it's never, I feel like people see me because of that show. They know my story. They know everything about me, basically. Like they just see me more as like a friend. And so I really enjoyed that. Like it was never overwhelming or scary being stopped and recognized because everybody was just really kind and chill about it. So that was a cool part of it.
I think it's relatively the same over here in terms of The Voice. Like they do a better job of giving a genuine kind of portrayal of the people that are on the show versus some of the other ones that, are more around kind of just how it's presenting itself and how it's marketing itself in the best way possible,
Yeah. And it makes the experience, it's already so nerve-wracking. So I can't even imagine having to also deal with, maybe being exploited or maybe being told that I need to be more like dramatic and maybe have an argument with a fellow cast member or what. Like it just, that would add such a crazy element to it that would suck so much and make me even more nervous. So I'm glad that The Voice is not like that. They're very, very good to their artists.
I noticed after winning it, like the kind of tours you went on, like you were on the road with the likes of Dierks Bentley and stuff. Like, how does like a Dierks Bentley tour compare to a Fall Out Boy tour, for example? Like, because they're slightly different worlds, right?
What's interesting? I think the Dierks tour was probably the most similar to the Fall Out Boy tour because his fans are were, I don't know, like I opened for him a while ago, but they're
Yeah.
young and they're like high energy and they were jumping
Okay.
around and I was like, ooh, I like this. But the tour that I did right after The Voice was opening for Rascal Flatts, and that was not high energy. Like
Yeah.
I remember walking out onto this like huge amphitheater stage, and there was like probably 70% of the crowd was in by that point. And so it's like very spotty and not super cool looking. And I was like, no one stood and no one was like jumping and rocking out. And I was like, oh, this is going to be different. And it was definitely, it took a long time for me to get used to. And now that I'm like back in pop punk, the shows
Sure.
have been a lot more energetic and fun.
So obviously, you had this spell in the kind of country pop world and did very well in
Mhm.
it. And then I felt like it was like it's not a slow transition, but you did like your record in 2021. It was almost like a little bit country still, but it's almost like pop punk and country mixed. I mean, was that
Yeah.
intentional with like the direction sort of going back into this world?
Well, I was really hoping that I would just like carve out a new lane in country music and it would be well
Okay.
received and it would be embraced. And when it wasn't, I was like,
Right.
I think I might need to leave country music. Like
Okay. Okay.
and it was just it wasn't I realized how much pop punk and rock music is just such a huge part of my soul and ingrained in me. And I think the pandemic really helped me kind of reconnect with that part of myself.
Okay.
And and that was sort of like a reflective time, which I'm sure it was for everyone.
Mm.
Hmm.
And it kind of reminded us all of our like mortality and what will we be proud that we did and what will we wish we did. And like something that kept coming up for me was like, I want to stop worrying so much about what people will think of stuff. Like I want to do something that's fun and makes me happy. And I don't know if it'll work, but like I'll know that I released something that really feels authentic to me because I do have roots in country music. I started singing on country music,
Yeah.
and I have roots in pop punk because that genre is like really where I got my start in like the music industry and what
Of
shaped me
course.
as a person. So it was, yeah, it was a cool album. And it also, when it didn't work and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go for the pop punk thing, it almost felt like, wow, that felt like that album flopped for a reason and that it was essential because going from what I was doing before that album and then
Yeah.
just right into pop punk, I don't think anyone would be like, wow, I didn't see this coming, but it would have been a bit more of a jolt for sure.
Right, exactly. Whereas this way it eases back into it. You did have, I
Yeah.
love that you had the Stephen Jenkins feature on that. Did
Oh,
you?
so
Obviously,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Did you get to interact with him much? Like, was there? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, he heard a song that I released from one of my albums back in 2019. I referenced Third Eye Blind in on one of the songs.
mhm.
And when Third Eye Blind was coming through Nashville to tour when they were touring with Jimmy Eat World, they asked me to come up and sing with them. So I got up and sang Losing a Whole Year with
Nice.
them.
Just totally out of the blue, they reached out to you.
Yeah, they were like, I think they tweeted something.
Right.
Someone tagged them in a tweet about that song that I had, and they were like, oh, you should come up and sing. And then someone literally did get in touch with my manager at the time, and it was just like, what? So we've done stuff over the years. We've collaborated live. He had me come up again last year when they were touring with Taking Back Sunday. And then so before that, during the pandemic, when I was writing this pop punk country record,
Yeah.
he asked me to sing harmonies on a song on their record called Funeral Singers. And I said yes, but would you sing on mine then as could you return the favor? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really want you
Nicely
to sing on my
played.
record. Yeah, yeah. He was like, well, I can't say no, can I? I'm like, I mean, you can, but I hope you don't. So yeah, we've collaborated a little bit here and there. He's awesome.
Yeah, he sounds like he sounds like a proper character.
Oh
We have
yeah.
we had Max from Eve Six on the show ages ago now, but he sort of spoke about Stephen Jenkins very candidly but affectionately at the same time, because obviously Eve Six had loads of tours with them in the early days, but he was full of stories about him.
Yeah, I mean, I got to sit there for like 45 minutes doing vocal exercises with the band before their show. And I was like, I thought it was just going to be like a little, 15-minute, like, la, 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 la. But I was sitting there, I was like, it's been a half hour. What the heck? But they all do it as a band, and, it's really cute. And they talk to each other in between scales. It's like, it was really fun and weird to be a part of, but it was, again, like a very Stephen Jenkins thing that,
yes,
I don't know. It's like, I love that. I love that one of my heroes has these quirks that I'll never forget, So that's pretty fun.
Cool.
I guess talking about collaborations as well, you joined Yellow Card on stage this year, or last year when we were young. How did that one come around? Another tweet?
Yeah, no, not a tweet. I did tour with them back in the day with Hey Monday, and we've just always stayed friends. Ryan from Yellow Card played on the Emo's Not Dead cruise the year before last year, and I was on it too. So we got to hang out, and Sister was there, and we just had so much fun reconnecting and catching up. So when I went to When We Were Young last year, I had a show already booked. So I just texted some friends. Like I texted Ryan, I texted Pierre from Simple Plan, texted Michelle Branch, because we ran into each other a few times in Nashville, and I was just like, hey, I'll be there. I'm going to be at the festival. Like, let me know if you want me to pop up. I'd be stoked. And all of them said yes. So I was like, oh crap, I need to make sure they're not all playing at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was, I think honestly, that was a huge reason why Hey Monday got added to When We Were Young this year.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely come to that in a sec. Yeah.
The visibility. I was just like, they will see me. They will pay attention. So yeah. And then Yellow Card invited me up to sing on Good Morning America at the top of the year.
Yeah.
So they've just been so supportive and awesome. And I love those guys. They're great.
That's cool. We had Ryan on the show a couple of years ago. Yeah,
nice.
It was a very brief one, but he seemed like a nice guy. Yeah, and I know lots of people who know him well and speak very well of him. But can I just go a little back slightly further, because just before the When We Were Young stuff, just so after the 2021 record, and you were like, okay, that's it, I'm coming back into pop punk. What was the first thing you did to kind of initiate that change?
So this was kind of, I was sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out at this point. I was gearing up to go on the tour to support this pop punk country album. I was about to go on that tour, but I decided to go to LA, stay with my friend Allie, who's a songwriter, and just we were like, let's write. Because I was kind of in a rut. I was not happy with the performance of the record. And so we wrote a song that's on my record, my one that I'm almost finished with. And it was just like, oh my God, I haven't heard myself this way in so long. And it made me emotional. It made me happy. It was so special. And I was like, fuck, okay, I'm doing this. And I still had this tour to do to promote this album that was failing. But it was good because the tour further solidified I'm making the right decision, because at the shows it was like I was playing the songs from this pop punk country record that were like heavier, and then I was playing some older stuff that was more country, but I always rock things up live because that's my preference. And then the crowd was always just so like mixed up, and a lot of people came up to me after and were like, I mean, I expected a country show, but that was like a rock show. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've always done that live, but like I prefer it. So you're going to hear more of that. Sorry.
It just kind of happened mid-tour then. You kind of just started to just swerve a little bit more in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on that tour. I was doing Decode by Paramore. I was doing that cover, and I was doing some stuff from like Hey Monday stuff. I always play live. So yeah, it just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this tour. It'll be kind of like the end of this era. And then after the tour was over, I just was full on, started going back to LA to write more and more and more, got in with, you know, writers that are fully in the pop punk world, like Nick Long and Nick Furlong and Allie. We wrote a bunch of songs together. So we just started accumulating all these songs. And then eventually I was like, oh, there's, you know, Dan Swank is here in Nashville. He is amazing. And I've known him for a long time. He's produced a bunch of stuff on this record. So it just,
nice.
it just sort of snowballed. And it was just like,
he does a lot of stuff with Taylor as well, doesn't he? Acorn.
yes.
Yeah.
The first session I had with Taylor was with Dan, and that was the song Coma that she released and then that I sang on. So we've had a good track record with writing with other artists.
So like a few singles last year, and a reimagining of like your biggest song as well. I think you did that with your former bandmate, the
Alex Lipshaw.
Yeah. That's very
cool. It was really fun. It was very full circle because it was like, you know, taking a song that changed my life, honestly, and it was like the first single of my country career, and doing it with someone who was, you know, such a huge part of my life and my journey in the pop punk space, and making it more in that vein was just like this. It just felt right, and it was just really fun to do together. Now
that you're back in the pop punk scene, like what artists are you kind of listening to? Who would you like to tour with? Like what? Now that you're kind of fully immersed again, are you kind of aware of like the obviously there's lots of legacy artists who are still going strong, but there's a whole stream of new artists, like from both sides, like who's kind of in your ears at the minute?
Yeah. I mean, I love so much of what's coming out of Nashville. I mean, I obviously love Taylor Acorn, Charlotte Sands. There's a great artist, John Harvey, that I love his stuff. Knox is great. I am a big fan of Water Parks. A tour with them would be so amazing.
They're so huge now as well.
I know. I'm like, oh, you know, it sounds like easier said than done. But I would love to tour with them. I love Neck Deep. They're great. I love Pale Waves. I love her voice.
I love that she kind of still sings in her English accent a little bit, which I mean, I know Neck Deep are Welsh, but like with no disrespect to them, they definitely don't sing in their region. I mean, they have great songs, but I love that Pale Waves still have that kind of, you can tell she's English. I like that.
Yeah. And she's just got such a cool vibe. I love her, and I love Royal and the Serpent. I would love to tour with any. One of my favorite bands is Biffy Clyro, so like touring with them would be insane. But I just saw them last year here in Nashville at Brooklyn Bowl, which is it's not tiny, it's small for them. It's tiny
for them. It's small,
and I just compared to what they do over there. But yeah, those are some of my favorites.
So what's the plan for you now going forwards? Obviously, you got Hey Monday, When We Were Young this year. You kind of, you say you're working on an album, releasing an album. Is that as yourself, or like how are you kind of balancing the whole? What am I doing with Hey Monday, and what am I doing as my kind of self-release stuff? Like, what's the outlook look like for you?
You know, the When We Were Young thing is a nostalgic, fun. Let's do something. Let's just do it because it would be fun thing. Full disclosure, not planning on doing like new Hey Monday stuff, not planning on a tour or anything like that. My record's almost done. It's going to be under Cassadee Pope. It's pop punk, heavier than the Hey Monday stuff, honestly. Which is what I always wanted to do, but we had some major label influence at the time. So, but yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm gearing up to announce all of that information in the coming weeks, and literally waiting on like one last master, and then the album's done. So it'll be out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It'll be out in like
this year,
a couple months. Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. Oh, that's
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm very, very excited. And there's a couple of good features on it. I mean, I don't care. I can say this, but Aaron Gillespie's on it.
Oh, wow.
Because I just love Under Oath so much.
Mm-hmm.
and this amazing rapper, Daisha McBride, who's based in Nashville.
Oh
She's
yeah.
incredible. So we did like a pop punk rap song together, which I love. So
Oh, okay. That's going to be interesting.
yeah. So
There's a lot more of
that's
that
what I
happening
got.
these days as well. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's
it's
true.
Yeah.
definitely relevant. Yeah. And
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to blend genres that you wouldn't think go together, but it just works. I love the way it turned out. So I'm excited for people to hear that one.
Obviously, you've had a few other bits and pieces recently. Like I saw you did emo night the other week, and you also just
Yeah.
announced. Are you at some production? Is it like a musical of The Walk to Remember or something? Just to tell us
Yeah.
about that real quick.
Yeah, they did it. They did a production in LA too. It's a walk to remember, and it's like it's obviously a shorter version than the movie, but they incorporate the soundtrack within the production. So, and if you remember the soundtrack, it's like Switchfoot and obviously Mandy Moore and just a lot of really great. I think there was like a Keen is in there somewhere, but a great soundtrack. So they're basically taking it and just making it a musical. It's a work in progress. It's not like, it'll be something people I think will look back on and be like, oh, we got to see that when it was like bare bones because it's not a huge set. It's not like we're all doing huge dance numbers or anything. And the goal is to like basically show the potential of what this could be.
Yeah.
But the lead in the musical is Brian Dales from the Somerset, and that
Oh,
was
isn't
sort
it?
of my
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
and that was my connection to the director of the musical had seen me sing with Brian a couple of times, once with Somerset
Okay. Yeah,
and
yeah.
once for another thing. And I guess he just like asked Brian, like, does she act or anything? Like, would she want to do this? And I've been taking acting classes for a year and a half, so that's
Oh,
like
wow.
something I'm pursuing actively, and it just worked out. And I get to do something with Brian again in like a very different avenue, very different arena. So we're excited.
Do you find yourself over this way very often? Because if I'm not, is it your partner's from the UK, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
from Cornwall. I try to go at least once a year, even if it's just, visiting with him and his family. I mean,
Uh,
we're both based here, but he goes over
yeah.
there quite a bit.
What? So his family's still in Cornwall.
Yes.
Whereabouts? My parents live down there now as well, so I have a.
Oh,
That's why
yeah.
I have a particular interest.
Nice. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Marizine?
Okay, is that kind of like more sort of towards Penzance way? Like, because
Yes. Torp. Yeah.
okay, because my parents live in Falmouth. I don't know how familiar you are with that part of course, so I kind of know that bit. But then,
Falmouth yeah. I love that area. It's beautiful with shopping and the boats and everything.
yeah,
So
no, it's so
I'm
nice.
from Florida. So visiting a place in England that sort of reminds me of Florida in some ways, but is
Okay,
like
yeah,
way more grand and with cliffs. Florida is so flat and there's not much scenery other than the beach. It's just really cool because our hometowns are similar in that way, like beach towns. So yeah, that castle, St. Michael's Mount, just like
oh,
blows my mind every time I
yeah,
visit.
that's amazing. Yeah, I haven't been there
Yeah.
for a few years, but the first time my parents took me there, I was just like, wow, yeah, this is good. That's when like when you have to wait for the tide to be right to go out to it, right?
Yep. And then if it's in or out, I forget how it goes.
Hmm.
You have to take the little boat back, which is
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mind at all. But yeah, I and touring and playing shows there, I'm working on it. I really, really love playing over there. It's just got to be the right situation to make it,
I guess
make
the
it worth it.
question then off the back of that, obviously new album comes out in a couple of months, hopefully, maybe a
Hmm.
bit longer. Have you got? Is it more of a case of just land that, and then start to look at where you take on the road, or you've already got kind of things lined up?
I've already got some things. Yeah, I've already got some things we're working on. Nothing's been confirmed, but I'm working on. I'm trying. It's just I think the landscape of touring right now is so different than it used to be.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking out, their best friends, and I have a lot of friends that I think are wonderful, but it's like I just people are taking out their friends. People are buying their way onto tours right now.
You say that's changed. Is that like a pre-post COVID thing, or more just a not 20 years ago kind of thing? Like,
I think it's both. I mean, post COVID, it's like financially, economically, it's tough. The guarantees are lower and everything's more expensive. So touring, and I'm hearing that from like big artists as well. So it's just like across the board, just harder. And then, yeah, I do think now it's less about like, oh, are we label mates? Do we have the same manager? And it's literally people like who are friends and who, both have bands. So they're like, let's just go out on tour together. And it's less of like, let's look through who's doing some cool stuff now that we could, it's just like, let's change it up. Like, I love going and seeing tours and it's like the same people every time. But I also think like that's part of the problem and that's why a lot of people just don't tour very much. It's just like, I could go out and do like a headlining club thing, but it's also, again, like financially, and it's not easy. So
yeah,
I want to do it, but I'm not going to like, I've already done things where I've lost so much money just to invest in myself. And I'm like, I'm going to be 35 this year. I don't need to do that.
Evaluate the risk versus reward a little bit differently, like these days before. Yeah.
Sorry, I just got a phone call, so I don't know if my thingy just.
No,
you're good. You're good.
Okay, yeah, it's different. My way of thinking now, for sure. So
yeah. No, I understand.
Been around.
I think Nick, unless we've left anything out that you've noticed and I haven't, we could probably wrap this up in the second, Cassadee, because we really appreciate your time and you've given us quite a lot of it already. Nick, should we finish with like a quick fire? What do you think?
I mean, you always do this and I'm never prepared.
Like we
you
kind of
always do this.
Yeah. We normally have these written out, but I feel like we've done so many of these, we could just do them off the top of our heads. Right. What do you think, Nick? So sorry, Cassadee, we should have had this bit.
Ooh, I like this.
Prior to this, but I reckon we could just.
Oh, please.
We could go in for this and then wrap this thing up.
Awesome.
Am I going first then?
Go on, Nick. Yeah, let's see what you come up with.
Dream tour, dead or alive artists.
Blink-182, Queen, Shania Twain, and Biffy Clyro.
Huh?
That would be a very interesting tour.
Something for everyone,
Favorite movie?
Dumb and Dumber.
Shower or bath?
Shower.
Favorite TV show?
Oh, honestly, Game of Thrones. I've seen it like twice all the way through now, and holds up every time.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs, but I do like cats.
Good Charlotte or Sum 41?
Oh, that's not fair. I can't do that. I know them both. Both. I love them both. If you want just like down the middle, like pop punk, Good Charlotte. Oh wait, no. You said Good Charlotte and Sum 41 or Simple Plan?
I did. No, Sum 41 and Good
Sum
Charlotte.
41.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And if you want like punk, Sum 41. Yeah.
Yeah, very diplomatic answer. I like that.
Festival or headline show? Or headline tour?
Oh man, that depends. For not the headlining tour I did when I left Hey Monday, that was awful. But Hey Monday had some really fun headlining shows. I'll say headlining shows, because sometimes the festivals are like, there's so many people that it's like you don't really get to connect. It's hard to connect.
You get in and you get out kind of deal.
Yeah. And I've never headlined a festival, so it's always during the day, which is
British or American food?
American food. Sorry. I love a pasty though. I love a pasty, but
you get plenty of those
Cornish
in
pasty.
Well.
Yeah. I'm out, Chris, because I'm
okay.
I'm prepared,
okay, so. Final one. What you can only take one record to a desert island with you. Which album are you taking?
Ooh, I'll go with Go by Avril Lavigne.
Right.
Nice. Okay.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Cool.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah. On that note, I think we can leave things there. Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. It's been
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for having me.